rushing in. Yeah, so you gotta think about how that person's feeling. Another thing, if you come in, guys, that I'm feeling antsy, because just because someone's interviewing you guys doesn't mean they're a good interviewer. Doesn't mean they're good people, right? So if they're showing up and they're not feeling very good, and you can kind of tell, or maybe they're anxious or nervous, you're gonna try to shift that for them. So something that you might do is ask them a question that sparks joy for them, that actually sparks dopamine for them. Does anyone know what dopamine is? Yeah, so it's a good feeling. So it has to do with rewards and feelings, right? So you want to spark that for them. So you're going to ask them a question about something that sparks it for them. You're not going to ask them a question like, been busy lately? That's what we tend to do. No, what does that spark for us? Overwhelm, right? Focusing on all the things we've been busy with. So instead, you might ask a question about like anything exciting coming up. You might ask, when you get to the question time of an interview, you might ask them a personal question about what inspired you to get into the role that you're in. So I can release that dopamine for them. I would probably avoid asking questions like, what is your greatest challenge at work? Right? Unless I'm going to come back and kind of strategically show how I can combat and remove that challenge. That would be the question. But you're going to focus on dopamine sparking questions. Okay?
I was just gonna say like compliments as well. So if someone's
Yeah.
interviewing you, they have like a, even if you don't like their tie, be like, or their their dress or whatever, be like, oh, I really like the color of that. Where'd you get it from? Stuff like that. And they take it as a compliment. And it just is a little
Right.
funny mood booster.
Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter necessarily what you like. You know that they're wearing something that they probably like. You know that they have something on their body that they like that will spark that dopamine for them. So you strategically point that out. When you come into an environment, you're looking at what's on the table. You're pointing out the things that spark that for them. All right? So, go ahead.
Could you also argue going back to like you were saying if it's a Thursday or something like that, you have the choice of
Saying that you got sexual harassment
a lot of
charge,
times
you're not even
companies
working there.
interviews in groups, so they'll set it up to where there's like a 4 or 5 hour stick where they do multiple interviews.
Yeah.
So the earlier that you do yours, the more likely you are to kind of like set the standard for that day of what they're looking for. So if you're the first one in, you're energetic, you know like your history of the company, you know exactly what you want to do, you know how you handle the situation. Well, then you're in their mind and have already 4 or 5 people are having to try to do better than you.
Yeah. So
So it just kind of gives you that advantage as far as like that day in their minds and what you hit it with.
yeah, for sure. So you're always thinking about what they're thinking and where they're coming from. And then let's say you can't choose your interview time, right? So you're coming in and you're working on shifting that energy. So I want to teach you guys an energetic model. This is very important and very relevant to what we're doing. I'll give you guys a sheet later that kind of breaks it down. So some of you guys were saying things like, I have to be here, right? I'm forced to be here. Does anyone feel that way? Yeah, you can do. Okay. All right. So is that true? I'm curious to know, is that true? Are you forced to be here?
Yes.
You're forced. What if you didn't?
I wouldn't be here.
What happened? What if you didn't show up?
I'll still be here.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is you have a choice to be here.
Wouldn't get my
Just that there's some bad
DT-14.
consequences if you don't show up, right? So you're choosing to be here because you have a greater thing that you're trying to honor, right? Some other value of getting out, something else you want to do in your life, right? Okay, so the thing is, I want you to know that you have choices. I want you guys not to stop pulling the damn, the damn victim card, okay? Stop. I have to be here for blah, blah, blah. No, if you're living your life from that mindset, it's not going to serve you. You have choices. You chose to show up today to avoid some other thing, some other negative consequences, right? But you still had choices. All right, so we have a victimhood mentality. This is kind of like an I lose mindset. You kind of feel like you're at the effect of life, like it's just happening to you, right? Then you have this other mindset. This is a conflict-rooted mindset. I want you guys to think about this power as like fight. This is more of fight. Okay? So this one is kind of an I win. You're always looking for ways that you can win. People that are really rooted in this kind of level of energy, they might be go-getters, they might fight and fall their way to the top. But chances are, if you're resonating really here, you probably are a leader that people don't like. You probably lead by fear. You probably are going to have a heart attack at a young age because of that catabolic, which I call that kind of negative energy that's generating in your body. If you're super tense, people don't like you. Right? You know these leaders? But they might be successful as far as they call their way up to the top, right? So that's not anybody in the way. All right, so that's level 2. Level 3 is going to be focused on responsibility. So you're going to start taking responsibility for your life. You're going to not blame. Here you're going to blame everybody else. You're never going to own up to what's happening in your life. Oh, it's someone else's fault. here you're gonna start to take responsibility. You are someone who's going to be more positive to be around. You're gonna be more team oriented. But you're kind of still close. I want you guys to think of like your ego, where it's all about yourself. The closer you are to that ego, the more self-focused you are. Right? So think about people that are self-conscious. People that are self-conscious are just extra conscious of their self. Like, what are they thinking of me? Like, no one's even thinking about you. No one even cares. Right? You're so like self-conscious. Alright, so that's level 1. So 4 is going to be focused on service. This is you win mentality. I'll give you guys a chart later that looks way better than this. And then responsive, this level 3 is going to be I win, and if you win, it's okay. So you'll let someone else win in level 3. This one is all about you. Only I win, someone else has to lose. 3 is you're going to let someone else win, but you're still concerned about yourself. Still has to benefit you. 4, it's all about everybody else. So people that are really high here as leaders, they're very, they often very charismatic. They really care about the people that they're serving and they're working with. They're very grateful. They don't take things personally. And then 5 is going to be focused on an opportunity-focused mindset. So no matter what situation you're in, you're always looking to take advantage of opportunities. Right? You are accepting what it is, and you're like, how can I take advantage of this time? So you're looking for we-win scenarios. This is a great level to be at when you're a negotiator. So you're negotiating from the place of you're saying things like, I want it to work for both of us. I want to figure out how it can benefit you and it can benefit me. That's the best place to be when it comes energetically, when it comes to this chart. You can come here and negotiate from this place and you're like, I want this, I demand this, but people ain't gonna play nicely with you in this area. Come from here and it'll serve you so much more. Alright, and then 6 is gonna be, if you guys ever been in the state of flow, so you kind of feel like time just passed me by, you guys been in a state where like, you're just in the zone, right? That's level 6 energy. So that has to do with, you believe everything happens for a reason. You tend to, your joy comes from within. It's not based on an external circumstance and what has happened. These are very high levels of awareness. 7 is going to be you're like truly connected to, let's say, God, you, or whatever it is that you believe in. And you, whatever that is for you, I'm not sure. So there's no judgment here. Complete lack of judgment, right? You're just kind of, this area, lots of judgment. Judgment on other people, judgment on yourself, right? So this and below is what I like to call all catabolic energy. So this is really hard to get into the positive state. But when you think of catabolic energy, what do you think of when you hear that word catabolic?
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Destructive. So that's what catabolic energy is. When you notice how people are very depressed, they'll have like aches and pains in their body. A lot of times people that are really depressed will be sick, right? Or super stressed out, that'll cause you to be sick. That's a generation of a lot of catabolic energy in your body, right? And the word disease, it means that your body's not in a state of ease. Usually it means that your body is generating a lot of catabolic energy. So you, your own thoughts, can do that to your own body, right? So anabolic energy is positive, uplifting, building energy.
That's deep.
So this is going to be a higher level. So I want you guys to think about like a hot air balloon. You have a hot air balloon, then you have like 2 sandbags, right, that hold that hot air balloon down. It doesn't take a lot of weight to hold that hot air balloon down, right? But it takes a lot of that hot air to raise that hot air balloon. So I want you to think about catabolic energy in your life like that. Just having some of that, generating that, that's bringing you down, holding you down a lot. So you need to get control of what it is that you're thinking that's causing this catabolic energy to generate. You need to get control of the energy that you're bringing into a room. Because when it comes to being liked, when it comes to creating success in your life, you need to have energy that people want to be around. If you come into the room and I can feel like, oh, like you can try to fake it all you want. You can try to pretend that you're really nice and stuff, doesn't matter. The energy that you're giving off, if you are not giving off the energy that I want to be around, I'm not going to like you. Right? You guys know what that's like, right? To be in a room with someone that's extremely negative. And they can fake it all they want, but it doesn't matter. You still feel it. You know what it's like to walk into a room after someone's been arguing, or there's a lot of sadness. You walk into the room, no one has to say anything, and you know that something was up in there, right? That has to do with the energy that's there. That people don't really recognize is controlled by what you're thinking and what thoughts you're generating. So I'm not gonna make you guys do this, but sometimes when I'm doing different speaking events, I will actually have people, like, you come into the room and then you can feel like you're like, oh, I don't wanna be here, this sucks. And then sometimes you hear people sighing, or their body language is like, they're like this, if you guys are like that right now. Some people will whisper. I don't know why. So I know if you're doing that, you're at level 1, right? So normally what I would do is I try to shift. It happens every class. So usually what I try to do is like I would try to shift. So I would have people like do gratitude exercise where you like have to think about the things that you're grateful for and tell the other person, and it's an instant shift. And you'll watch in the room right after you do that. It'll be like 30 seconds. When you're done, you'll just feel everyone's loud and you just kind of feel like lighter, right? It's a shift because you came up to here. You were here, you come up to here, right? So in my work, when I'm working with people who are like, they feel really stuck, all these are thoughts, and I assess where they're at by what they're telling me and how they say things. Did they say things like, nothing ever works for me, I try everything, okay, you're here, 1. So then I'm trying to think about what I can do to have them take action. So I might try to move them up to a 3. I might say something like, what is one thing that you can do right now? How is this benefiting you right now? Things like that, get their brain to think at a higher level, and then kind of clear out that negative kind of mindset. I can't take this person from here and bring them up here because it's too much of an energetic shift. So for example, if you're down here and you have this I lose mentality, I can't be like, what's the opportunity in the situation? Let's say you just got robbed. I'm like, what's the opportunity in the situation? And you're like, I mean, there is no opportunity, right? It's because of where your mindset is at the time. It makes sense. When you're fluctuating, it makes total sense. It's just the thing is you don't want to stay here. If you start living your life from this place, you will not create the results that you're probably by no means, right? So you want to focus on getting up here. Okay, so as we know, we already talked about this. Energy is contagious. So you need to get your mind right, you need to get that energy right that you're bringing in forward. There was a study that was done that looked at, what they did was they put pads in people's armpits. And they kind of like were collecting the sweats. They had 2 groups. They had, one group was people running on treadmills. The other group was people jumping from planes. So those jumping from planes had more of a fear-based sweat, right, than those running on the treadmill. Then they took those sweat pads and they had people smell the sweat pads.
Oh.
And they hooked their brains up to a bunch of wires and they tried to figure out what was going on in their brain as they were smelling these pads after the fact.
Oh my
I
God.
know, science.
They get
So
paid.
anyway, so those that were smelling the sweat from those that were jumping from the plane,
Died
what do you
from
think
fear.
happened in their own room?
They die from fear.
Fear response. So the fear areas of their brains were triggered. Isn't it interesting? It's after the fact. It's because energy is contagious. That's why. And we already know that. We have evidence to show that. You guys know what it feels like you said, being around someone that's extremely negative. So you gotta know how to kind of shift your own energy and shift other people's energy. So when you point out things that bring them joy, that you know sparks joy for them, because it's either something that they're wearing, right, something that's around in their environment, and you're pointing it out and making their brain think about that, you're doing an energetic shift for them. So you can tell when someone comes and interviews you or they're around you, just be the person that's about helping people feel good. Remember like the Maya Angelou quote, they don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel, right? Everyone, that's how, you want to be liked, make people feel good. Shift their energy. And that'll get you so much farther in life than any other saying the right words or anything like that, if you understand this. This is how the world works. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about this? Do you guys get why it's helpful? Yeah? Okay, cool. Alright. So we're gonna let's do this little quiz, and then we're gonna stand up to do another activity. So the quiz on page 2. I'm just gonna go through and guess. A lot of them are debatable, right? So go through and guess on page 2. Each write in this book. says level 1 mindset. How do you think you're handling a tough sheet?
Every day to work.
Yeah, it always happens. Alright, so 2. Yeah, that conflict, fight mentality, blaming, what do you do? Yeah, someone else's fault, road rage, cutting people off. You feel that kind of like tension or like, okay, what about 3? So you will take responsibility, so what is something you might be saying?
I should have left earlier.
Should. You guys are so good. You really grasp this. Okay, so a should. Level 3 are the people that I like to call the shitters of the world, right? So these are the people that are always going to be like, yeah, I should do that, but I'm not going to, you know. And they're always like rationalizing, right, their actions. And they tend to be like, they tend to chill and like, you don't mind being around them because they're not super negative, but they're not like hardcore, like taking advantage of opportunity or anything. They're just trying to get back. You know what I mean? So that's level 3. 4, what are you going to be doing?
Looked early enough to not care about it, but I should have. Just gonna start handing out water.
So you're not really attached to the situation. You're going to be handing out water, trying to see if everybody's okay around you, looking around, right? All about other people.
Sure, everyone else has something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So 5, what are you doing?
Barbecue.
Big side road.
You go driving?
He said cyber.
Yeah.
Let people in when they're trying to merge and that kind of thing.
Doing what, Mitch?
Like letting people in when they're trying to merge and just like traffic flows better when everyone's like on the same
Yeah, so
page.
you're thinking about you're thinking through even scenarios. So you're trying to take advantage of your time, opportunity for you to eat your food, opportunity for you to listen to podcasts, call friends, email, all of that stuff. You accept the fact that you're going to be there. But you're looking for opportunity in that moment. What do you think? Really? Okay. And then 6, remember you think that everything happens to you for a reason. How might you handle that? Your joy comes from within.
Just relax, just hanging out.
Exactly. You might have that mindset. You're like, you're in it so you don't get in a car accident. There's a reason for it. Yeah. You're just in your world, you're in your world, it's not going to affect you. Right? And then 7, you're going to be like, this is the level where you're like totally out of touch with reality. You're probably like,
Cocaine.
yeah, you're just like, you're like, you don't even think this is a car. You're like, there is no car.
Dropped acid. That's level 7. 7 is dropping acid.
But you guys can see how like drugs, you know? Like,
Yeah, see? Yeah.
You guys can see why people do drugs. It makes sense. Like, given the fact that you know how it's gonna, it shifts your awareness in a sense. So you think about
Time to get
you know,
lifted.
just, like, your house could be burning down. Let's say you're like high in like
Being high in
your
traffic,
house is
just like-
burning down, and you don't even realize like what is happening. You're so
Somebody getting fired today.
But you might feel
But I don't
so
care.
good, right? I'm just saying you understand. So 3 might be like you're chilling. Like, okay, let's say you have these really pot smokers who feel super depressed if they don't smoke pot. And then it brings them to a 3 where they're like, I'm just chilling, like, they get it. You understand?
3 of them want 7 vanilla details.
No, it's
Well,
not.
that's
So I understand how this works.
Cloud 9. Smoke weed before the interview. Develop some positive
Okay,
energy.
back to your quiz, and then we're gonna get up and move around.
So this is something I gotta smoke. I gotta smoke some shit though. Okay, naturally get to number 7.
I watched Breaking Bad too.
I'm trying to get to number 7, bro. Sure.
You have a good resume. Below average interviews, look at the fucking job. Because I don't have to interview ever again.
I think it's true.
Interviews are a joke. You wanna get ideal for
Why are they so hard? They're not saying they will. They're saying they will use it.
Number 1. I'm gonna have Miles. Miles answer this one. If you're not done, it's okay. Here. First
She was
answer?
true as
Yes.
fuck.
Given two qualified job applicants, employers will usually hire a veteran over a non-veteran.
I put true.
Is that true? Does anyone else think? No?
No.
What do you think?
Very like short, I can put it, but if there was an interview, it really depends on that, whether you're a veteran or not, like, they really determine their energy and how they feel to their interview.
Yes, for sure. What do you think?
The other applicant probably has like, more experience in the field and more school on top of that.
Yep.
We don't really need that.
If you're doing like a customer service job and the veteran comes in and says, cock your dude, and just, I run this shit and I'm doing this and.
Yeah,
you
so
want-
he's like a two,
Yeah,
then-
they want a personality versus like experience.
Well, it says they're both qualified, so I'd say true because most companies wanna be able to say, yeah, hey, we hire veterans, cause that makes their company in terms of better.
Back there, Bo?
Yeah, I think it's completely circumstantial. It kind of depends on where you're applying, like the environment. So like, are you gonna go work for like, I don't know, the fucking people that make grunt style t-shirts? Or are you gonna go be like a professor for underwater basket weaving at like a liberal college?
Damn.
Circumstantial, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, bro.
I would say no, just for the fact that, yeah, some employers will look at the situation as far as, okay, you've been in the military, are you able to get outside of that organization structure and take on something new? And if you can't adapt to that, then why would we hire you? If
So,
you're qualified?
what you're all saying is, you're all right. So it totally depends on the circumstance. So in some cases, they would prefer the veteran, especially if I was a vet myself, right? And people like people who are, I want you guys to fill in blank, people like people who are blank them.
Just like them.
Exactly. So if we have that commonality, then maybe, yeah, I prefer you over the other person. But what if someone, like, what if my dad was a vet and he beat me? And he brings up these negative things to me, right? Then I'm not gonna, let's keep it real, I'm not gonna hire you. So it totally depends on the circumstance. It's just important for this question that you recognize what those perceptions might be and how you can combat them, like we talked about earlier.
So pretty much you should wait to test the water, see if it's if you're a vet or not.
Or, you know what you can do is one, you do your research on the person that is interviewing you. You try to figure out who that person is. And you try to strategically connect with them, find things you have in common. AKA you stalk them on Facebook and figure out what their life is like and who they are and try to connect with them.
So you can come up with awkward.
They're gonna do it to you. So you guys can be like, oh, that's weird. But you know that employers search you on social media, right?
Yeah.
Why do you act like it's a one-sided street? When an interview is just like, they're interviewing me. No, you're interviewing them too. You wanna see if it's a good fit for you, in your life, and what you want. So that's showing up with a different mindset in your interview. You're not showing up with that level one, like, I'm at the effect of life, right? Trying to impress you. No, man, I wanna see if you're in alignment with me.
The reason why it's usually so one-sided is because they have what you want in interview-wise, they have the money that you're trying to collect, so it's like, all right, I'm just trying to get it over so I can get the job and get the money.
Okay,
Where
and how
if
do you
you're-
think that serves you? Dan, have you been in this house before?
Yeah, just.
For a little bit.
Yeah, the job short.
You're probably one that was coming back. You told me that you're gonna come back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Good to see you.
And most of our standpoints is gonna be we're just trying to get the job to get the money. Where if you're already financially stable and you're just getting a job to have a job, okay, let me see if this is a healthy fit for me emotionally
Yeah.
and all of that.
Well, what if you always were able to approach life from the mindset of the interview? It was like you're trying to see if it's a good fit for you. Always. How do you think that would affect your job search? Do you think that they're more likely to want you? When you show up with that energy, you bring it into the room and you're like, I wanna see if this works best for both of us.
Depends on the person.
Yeah. I think that's, think about it this way,
Depends on the
dating.
interviewer.
So think about it dating. That's true, because it depends on kind of maybe where they're at. Go
I
ahead,
don't
Josh.
think he's saying to approach it with the air of desperation, he's just saying you don't always have the opportunity to be so picky and choosy.
You're right.
So,
That's true. You might think that. But I'm telling you again, you're thinking that, that's on you. That's your thoughts.
There's always a choice, just the negative consequences are
Exactly.
harmless.
Yeah. But shit, that one. But I also want to see how, there's some things that you guys may be saying that are limiting yourself by your own thoughts. Matt.
One thing is like, yeah, when you do go into an interview, I guess you look at it as like, you're a victim of their judgment because they have the money you want, but at the same time, they're the ones that are looking for someone to do the job.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a quid pro quo. Yes, you need their money to pay your bills and your family, but at the same time, they need someone to make sure their comms towers work.
I love
check
how you're
their,
looking like that.
you know, their solar panels, their solar swim mills, whatever the case is, fix their heavy equipment or whatever the case is.
Right.
So
They need you. They have a
you
problem.
need their money,
You
but
fix
they
it.
need your skills.
That's why they're doing the interview. Good way to look at it. They're flipping it around. You're gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say, not going into a job interview, how they think that they owe you something as a veteran, because I think a lot of veterans go for jobs, the job that they want, because they go into that interview on the mindset that, hey,
That is very
you know, I served, 10, 15, 20 years in the military, you know.
I should get this over to someone else.
Yeah.
And that's, again, generating that lower level. Alright, so I want you guys just to answer these for me. The same job you had in the service will pay up to twice as much in the private industry.
True.
Well, totally depends probably on the job. What job are you thinking? Pays more outside. Or this, okay. Yeah.
No, it's good to make fucking
I'm not saying
Some jobs you can see that, some jobs not so much, some jobs don't even really transfer that well, right? So military skills transfer to civilian jobs without additional training. You'll always need more additional training.
It's a sign.
Civilian employers believe that members of the military do not deal with profit and loss. So, it's true, that one. They tend to think that you don't know how to handle the responsibility of like money, let's say, right? Gaining, losing, but that's not true. And you can communicate that when it comes to the equipment that you handle, the value of that equipment that you handle, how many millions of dollars that's worth, how you can deal with keeping that track of all of that. Alright, most employers have had enough military experience to be able to understand military language. It's your job to communicate. If you put something on your paper, guys, like your resume, if you're putting crap on your resume, just random stuff, like these are my words and all this other stuff, and nobody knows what those are, don't put it on your resume. If you can't communicate to me what that means, then it's wasted, that you're just putting it out there. You need to learn how to communicate in a way they understand by doing what? What did we say earlier? Remember what makes hospital viral? Hospital viral? Storytelling, by telling them a story. Most employers are skilled at selecting new employees.
It's true.
So just because someone is in that role to select new employees doesn't mean they're good at it. You need to communicate how you can bring value to them. Right? So that means you need to understand their challenges. You may have to overcome an employer's negative reactions to veterans in order to get the job.
True.
Veterans will build a network of job contacts as part of their job search.
True.
Collecting unemployment compensation can bring pride and self-respect.
False. False.
Totally no. Depends
It depends on the person, because I've heard people like, oh yeah, I can just get employment. I'm like,
what if you see it as an opportunity? What if you feel shameful about it? Who knows? Dumb question. Alright. After military service, you may have to take a lower level job than someone of your age who is not in service.
True.
It says you may.
So true.
I think that's false.
See?
Yeah, the reason
Says you
why.
may.
Huh?
It says you may, it doesn't say
May,
you will.
not will.
It's a dumb question.
I don't know, I didn't write
It's
it.
not. Guys, I think it's too real.
Bro, fight me, bro.
You guys are gonna fight. There are so many typos in this book. So anyways, I'm just learning. A good resume will get you a job.
True. No.
Well,
Yes.
so a good resume is what? It's gonna get your foot in the door. What's gonna get you the job? The interview. Your ability to be liked. In a job interview, you should always address the interviewer as sir or ma'am, just as you would in the military.
some places don't want
Okay, if you guys are always calling people yes sir or ma'am, I get that. Some of you guys were raised to do that, and it's time to respect. Totally get that. The thing is though, if you come into an environment and that's not what they're used to hearing, especially a lot of people like me, like the Midwestern people, right? We're not used to that. So I feel like it's not as much of a common thing. So they might view it as more of like, that's weird, that doesn't fit in with what we have going on. Remember, people like people that are like them. So if you notice that that's not a thing that they're doing, then maybe you want to play off of not doing that, right? And just be respectful using their name. If they say, hey, I'm Jake, then call them Jake, right? But if they're like, hey, this is, they're calling you sir or ma'am, then maybe you want to use that language. Make sense? Yeah.
I feel like if you have to change yourself for an interview, you're not looking for the right, that company is not the job for you.
That's a good
You
point.
should find someone that is like you instead of changing yourself to be like someone else.
Because ultimately you're not gonna be happy.
So that is a great point. So you would want to do your research in advance to make sure it's a good fit for you. But you guys also need to be adaptable to different environments to know, understand the concept that people like people that are like that. In a nutshell, that is networking, the best networking tip 101. So if you go into an environment mirroring their body language, mirroring some of the things that they're saying, I'm not saying showing up and being fake, right? But I'm saying showing up in a way that's very strategic, right? And intentional. But definitely do your research. Know that I hammer that down all the time. Do your research to make sure it's a good fit for you. It's your life. People like to think of their jobs as like, oh, it's just a job, I'm just trying to get money. It's like, no, this is your one and only life. 8 hours or more a day that you're never ever gonna get back. Do you want to spend it doing something that you're miserable because it's gonna give you a lot of money? I don't know. Maybe you guys will say yeah, but I'm gonna tell you, like, look at all these famous gazillionaires, right? That kill themselves, have all the money in the world, right? Obviously, showing you that there's more to life than just money. You need to get clear about what it is that you want and how you want to contribute to your life, right? What do you have to say, my friend?
No.
Did you say something mean and negative?
No, it wasn't negative.
Okay.
I had something to say about the whole like being fake as like a job interview thing. Like, if I would have showed up to my shop as a brand new check-in with the same attitude that I have now, I would have gotten screamed at. Because like, if I walked in the shop and was like, hey, what's up, bro? And you're like a brand new like private in your alphas, you're gonna get fucking screamed at. Like,
yeah.
You have to play the role that you're in order to become.
That's a great
In order
point.
to be yourself, you have to introduce yourself.
So you're being yourself, but you have to be strategic too. Like you guys get that one. Yeah.
And there's always the play of don't mix business and pleasure. I don't think I should be so comfortable at work as if I would feel outside of work. So you have to have that business facade, that work facade, and then that I'm home, it's my day off facade.
Yeah, exactly. You guys can read the situation. You know what's up. And
So
if it
what
doesn't
that
feel
means
right
is
to
like-
you, then don't do it.
Where they say you don't fake it, sometimes you just have to put on a nice face just to get through work because it's where you need to be.
Bring eggs, especially when you're a server. Like, you don't like everybody, but you gotta get those tips. But anyway. Okay, so let's take a break, 10 minutes, and we'll come back. Do another
RIP 122. I hope I never get in Yuma? Nice.